Hey folks, welcome to Puzzle Spoilers. Today we're taking a look at the Icebox puzzle. This is a 3D printed sequential discovery puzzle box. It was designed by Jared Peterson. His company is called CoreMods. I'll put a link below to the Etsy store where you can buy this puzzle. There's lots of other 3D printed mechanical puzzles there as well. The goal of this puzzle is to find the hidden internal chamber. We're going to discover several tools along the way, and those tools will help us get to that chamber. Let me show you how to solve it. Our first step is going to be pushing this button. It is the square right next to where it says ice here and right above where it says box. We're going to push that in. It's pretty easy to push, and then on the opposite side on the corresponding square, that square will actually completely pop off. It's held in there with a magnet. Put this somewhere safe. We don't use this in the rest of the solve. I should note at this point that there are 4 unique challenges to this puzzle, and you can solve the first 3 in any order. The 4th one does have to be solved after the first 3. As usual, I'll put timestamps below so you can follow along accordingly. Once we have that piece removed, we're going to push that button inwards. That's just going to reset the other side here so that it's now flush again. Once that button is pushed back down, it'll allow us to start this mini sliding puzzle. So these 3 pieces actually slide all around, kind of like a mini 15 sliding puzzle. From this starting position, we want to rotate the sliding puzzle in a counterclockwise direction. So we're going to slide this piece to the left, this piece up, this piece to the right. At that point, we're going to notice this small pin revealed. Let's keep going in the counterclockwise rotation. And that pin, at this point, when we slide this to the right, it's going to open up this hole here. I'm going to slide it back to the closed position so you can see the difference. That's closed. That's open. When we push this piece over, that pin is going to slide a lever that's going to reveal the inner workings inside that hole. When we tilt it over and shake a little bit, there we go. We've got our first pin. Let's put that somewhere safe. All right, let's reorient ourselves. So with the Icebox letters on the top, we're gonna focus on this right side here, and specifically this block right here. This is actually one connected block, and it's gonna move left and right. It should wiggle a little bit. While you were solving some of those first steps, it's possible that this column has moved up and down, and that's okay. If you can get it back to this position, you can follow along with me. If not, you might already be in one of the more advanced positions, in which case you can skip forward just a little bit. So in my case here, there's a metal pin that's internal that's binding this piece and this piece together. I need to turn it to the right. Now that metal piece moves into this spot and allows movement here. If I move it up just one position, that metal pin is going to drift over and now lock up these 2 pieces. So we need to turn the puzzle to the left. And now that metal piece is just underneath this piece right here. And then we can move it up once more. And that metal piece will slide to an internal spot under this piece here. So these 2 pieces are now binding. And this is our final position here. You'll notice at this point that the hole is aligned with a deeper hole, and we see a small pin in there. We can turn it over, and we might need to shake a little bit, but another pin will come out of that hole. We can set this aside for a minute. There is a magnet here on the column piece that keeps it somewhat in place, but it's not a very strong hold. The column will probably move periodically as you solve the rest of the puzzle, and that's okay. Our next step is to solve this side. There's an interesting interlocking component here with the corner pieces. We're going to start with this piece right here. We're going to move it downwards just like that. Now that piece was locking this piece, so now we can move this piece to the right. This piece was locking this piece, so now we can move the upper left upwards. And that piece was locking our final piece right there. This piece now moves to the left. Now keep in mind, you need to keep all of these pieces out. If one happens to go back in, it might lock up the next piece. So make sure as you're solving that they stay in their unlocked positions. Now once we open up this final piece right here, it reveals the trapdoor. Now we can remove another pin from that hole. Turn it over, shake a little bit, and there's our 3rd pin. So let's keep solving. Our cube is looking a little discombobulated at this point. That's okay, don't worry about it. Our final step here is to use the 3 pins that we found, and we're going to put them all into this hole. With the icebox face pointed towards you, we're looking for this top face and this hole right there. Let's take our 3 pins. We're going to drop them all in one by one. They're all the same pin, so it doesn't matter which way you put it in. When we push down on that pin, it's going to reveal the trapdoor in this final hole right there. And yet another pin is going to come out of that hole. And that pin was locking in this 2x2 piece here. And this piece is actually a hidden cover. If we tip the puzzle over just a little bit, this will come out very easily. And we need to be careful here because we have a lot of treasure inside. And here is all the treasure. Lots of little gems. And there's our hidden internal chamber. And the puzzle is solved. Let's take a little closer look at this mechanism and how it works to lock this cover. All 4 of the pins actually interact with this cover to lock it. So that prevents you from being able to take this off unless you've solved all 4 of those pin challenges. All right, let's reassemble the puzzle. We've got all of our components here. We've got our main cube, the cover, our 4 pins, that small square piece that we took off at the first step, and then all of our gems. So the first step is to put all of the gems back in. Just drop those in. It doesn't matter which way you put the cover back in, it's going to work in any orientation. That's some nice design. So just push that in and make sure it's flush with the rest of the cube. Now make sure to keep your finger on that cover because if you turn it upside down it will fall off. Now let's get our pins back in. With the icebox face pointed towards us, we're going to put 3 of the pins in this upper left hole right there. Now that will open up that hole right there. We can put our pin in just like that. We probably need to put some pressure on this column of pins just so that that spot opens up freely. Now that pin has dropped in. We can now take these pins out and we can see that that trapdoor is now obstructed. We have 3 left to put back in. Now we can put these 3 back in any order. I'll go in reverse order from how we solved it. Let's focus on the icebox face now. We're going to pull on our corners. That will open up that trapdoor and that hole. We can put our pin back in there. Give it a little shake so it drops down. Then let's close up these corners in reverse order. Now let's focus on this column piece right here. We will need to rotate it to the right and then to the left to get it to its fully extended position. Now we can put our pin in that hole, give it a little shake so it settles. Then we can move this down, rotate to the left, and then fully push it down. 1 more pin to put back in. Now let's focus on this face with the sliding puzzle. Make sure that this button is depressed. It may have been pushed inadvertently on this other side as you were solving it. Once that button's down, you can start moving these pieces. If this hole has closed up while you were solving it, just manipulate these sliding pieces until you free up that hole again. Now let's put this pin in the hole, give it a little shake so it settles. Now push this sliding piece to the left and then keep rotating until you have that spot free with the magnet. Now we're going to take our square piece. Orientation matters on this final piece, so make sure to align the magnets. When you push that in, that will reset the button on the other side right here, and we are now back in our original unsolved position. This is the icy blue version. There was also a black version, which I also have. This one solves exactly the same. There's also a white version that's available. If If you found the video interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. That's it for today, folks. I'll see you on the next video.